get real tired, let them throw knuckleballs. Basically, baseball had no contingencies. They're making it up as they go. So if they're going to make it up as they go, then, honestly, we're getting baseball, right? I don't care if it's 7 innings, 6 innings, whatever. So let's let it roll.
It's definitely interesting. And it's also interesting that the 3 teams embroiled in this whole controversy, the Indians, the Marlins, and the Cardinals, are all contending right now as far as their divisions are concerned. I think that's pretty interesting. We talked about the Indians now, how they got in the hot water. 2 of their pitchers got in hot water, being in Chicago, and now there's a rift reportedly between the Cleveland Indians inside the organization, between the players and the manager and these 2 players. It's just crazy how this virus has taken effect on these teams.
I'd go out in Chicago too. I'm not mad at them.
I know you would. You're from there.
Quit bringing them 2 up. They live in Cleveland, Ed. If you lived in Cleveland, you would want to go on a town. If you went up to like Saskatchewan, you'd be ready to go out. Cleveland is a hellhole. Hellhole is terrible. You know what? I'm going to be like Charles Barkley. It's terrible. The only cities I know that are worse than Cleveland are Tucson, Reno, and El Paso.
I like El Paso.
El Paso,
it's a cool little city.
It's an armpit.
Not so bad.
El Paso is not bad.
Goodness, El Paso is. You know what? El Paso. The only thing that's stopping El Paso from being the worst city in America is Tucson and Reno.
Why Tucson?
Tucson is a crap hole, dude. That may be the worst city ever. The old Pueblo, the old Basura. You like the way I broke that one down? Hot Basura. Hot trash.
Paul, I think she was talking about she was going to lead into the bubble, the decision that Major League Baseball is thinking about this bubble situation for the postseason.
Oh, well, I don't even know why they're thinking about it. They should just do it. They should just be put in a bubble. Fine. And there should be a host city for the World Series too. And think about this nightmare. LA plays New York in the World Series. In the heat of COVID, and during flu season and COVID season, you're gonna pony them up and fly from LA to New York, find you a ballpark somewhere in Topeka, Kansas, and you play in the Field of Dreams.
Ideally, I'd like the situation. I like the Houston-Arlington situation, where those are 2 dome stadiums, obviously for baseball to go there. If they want to do an absolute bubble, a literal bubble, go to Texas and play your games. I know LA and Anaheim. Yeah, come here.
Come here. If you're going to play the World Series, this city has shown it can host Super Bowls. It can host national championship games. It does the Tosita Fiesta Bowl every year. Mm-hmm. It's hosted all-star games for baseball and basketball. It hosted the Pro Bowl. This city is great at being a host. So why not here?
Do you think Major League Baseball is concerned about the COVID, the outbreak, and still the high number of cases in this state?
But we're looking at late October, early November.
Yeah.
So it's no better in Texas.
True. It's no better in California. It's no better in Chicago or Milwaukee.
Why not go to a city that's proven it can host everything?
Where would the other games be played? They wouldn't play them all at Chase Field, would they?
You could play a doubleheader every day. You could play a 10 a.m. game. If they're going to do 7-inning games for some crap, you could do a 10 a.m. game and a 7 p.m. game every day. Every day. They'll be fine. Why not? We're doing everything else. We're playing foosball half the time with football. Baseball saying, you know what, if it's tied after 11 innings, we're going to bring out the wiffle ball. Bring out the softball. 16-inch clincher. First one at 200 feet wins. So if we're trying all this other crap, I mean, what difference does it make at this point?
At this point, they're just throwing stuff against the wall and trying to see if it sticks.
What did my man say? What is it? Long Came Polly said, I'm spitballing here.
Yeah.
Spitballing. Seeing what's happening.
Oh, man.
So, I mean, what else can you do? In all honesty, what else can you do? They should have a bubble. They should have had a bubble. They should have had pods. Ed, this is what I'm saying. Seriously, stop and look at this. There were 3 leagues that didn't argue or fight. National Hockey League, National Basketball, and soccer down in that league they ran down there. Oh, and the WNBA. No one bickered in soccer, hockey, and basketball. They came up with a plan. They bubbled it out, and they're doing fine. Baseball bickered, didn't do nothing, then did something, then do nothing, and never really came up with a plan or a contingency to the contingency. Football, what have they really set up? Nothing. College football, we talked about that a little bit earlier. Every conference is doing their own thing. There's only 3 leagues that have had a plan, and they're pulling it off. They even had a contingency plan when a dude stopped and got some lemon pepper wings. There was a contingency plan for that. Everything is from the seat of their pants. That's terrible.
It is. All that arguing and going back and forth and finger pointing, all that stuff between the MLB and MLBPA, they could have squashed all that. And we'd be in a better situation. We possibly wouldn't have the Indians, Marlins, and the St. Louis Cardinals situation. It would have been it would have hopefully potentially been like the NBA, where everything is smooth sailing, just like the NHL. No issues up there in Canada.
Those guys have been in that bubble in the NBA for, I want to say now, 6 weeks. No one wants to be away from their family. Baseball, you could have did a bubble, potting for 2 months if you really wanted to play. It's ridiculous. Everything they're coming up with is, hey, I got an idea. Why don't we try this? What do you think we should? Well, I don't know. That's how all their ideas are going. It's like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures. No one really has an idea. So I think it's sad. I got a question for you. When you look at the landscape of college sports, do you think that obviously there's no football right now for some conferences? With Justin Fields writing that letter, the whole landscape is really getting public opinion to sway towards letting kids play. Do you think those type of things will have any input as we go down, as the time ticks? And do you think the Big Ten may reconsider what they said?
I think they may reconsider. It all depends. It's a fluid situation, like we all know. It's hard because you want to have the best interest of your student athletes at heart. You don't want anything to go out here, and you don't want an entire team to get ravaged like a Miami Marlins or a St. Louis Cardinals. You don't want that to trickle down to the college football level, and teams are absolutely just decimated because everybody, staff members and football players and everybody on the entire team, or a good majority of the team, has caught the coronavirus. And now the situation comes like, oh, so this is what happens when you decide to actually play a season. Maybe you should have decided not to play a season, and we wouldn't be in the scenario that we are in right now with all these teams that are just absolutely destroyed because the COVID-19 virus has ran rampant throughout the entire organization.
Do you think I'm crazy with what I've been saying, that we're going to come to the point where it's going to be like, our linebacker has COVID. He's asymptomatic. We tested him. He's negative. He's playing Saturday. We're just waiting for his negative test to come back so we can put him in. Do you think we're going to get to that point?
Possibly. You're right, because, Paul, the train has to keep moving. You talked about how there's so much money with TV contracts and all this other stuff involved in it, TV advertisements, and there's billions and billions of dollars that are flowing through these Power 5 conferences and all these other conferences. And you got bowl games, you got championship games, you've got all these different games that you have to actually get in. You can't just continue to cancel seasons or push seasons back. You've got to be able to get in the full season. You've got to be able to live with this situation. And if this is the new norm that we're living in with the COVID-19 virus, maybe it is that situation where that comes up on the injury report. Maybe that is part of the injury report for an NFL team. When they release those injury reports before games, maybe you look down on that injury report and you have a player COVID-19, or however they want to label whatever that is. Maybe that is the situation that they come down with.
I know everyone is too sensitive to say anything now, obviously. I just don't, and I'm not trying to be pessimistic. This country is built differently than a lot of other countries. It's too financially driven to constantly put off financials. I mean, do you get the way I'm saying that? Like, everything we do in this country is based on finances. And so not to have that, I just don't see that going much longer. I mean, look, the NBA did a great job with the bubble. Do you think they're really going to do this again in December? I don't.
It all depends. We'll have to see where we are as far as this coronavirus. If it calms down, or if we have an outbreak, and the NBA needs to relook this thing and say, you know what, we need to do a bubble part 2, because this thing is, we just don't know.
I guarantee you, this is the last of the bubble we're seeing, because there's no way the NBA, the WNBA, the NHL, especially for the NBA and the NHL, if they're going to start the league back up in December, there's no way they're putting guys in a bubble till June. There's absolutely no way. That's not going to happen.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
John, your opinion on this, and I was saying this before you rejoined us. I said, unfortunately, and Ed and I have talked many times, and I've said this a bunch on my radio show, that we're going to come to a point within the next year where COVID-like symptoms is going to show up on the injury report. It's literally going to say, so-and-so was asymptomatic, and so-and-so we're just waiting for their negative to come back so they can play. I just think it's too much money in sports for this to be derailed for another year with all the sports trying to figure out how to play a game.
Yeah, I mean, Paul, look, I think they're all in these rooms having these meetings and talking about it every day and trying to set benchmarks and trying to figure out, percentages and learning about topics that none of us studied in school or, have degrees in, people that run sports leagues, people that run conferences, people that run schools. This is all out of their wheelhouse, right? I mean, nobody has this background to where they could stand up in front of a group confidently and say, I've got the plan, folks. This is how it's all going to play out. This is the safest way to move forward. Nobody can say that. And so that's what makes this really difficult. We're all trying to figure it out together. I will say, my personal vibe right now is mixed, because we just watched this young group of Suns go on such an entertaining, fun run, and the basketball was riveting and the storylines were fantastic. And then all of a sudden I'm looking around going, when am I working again? When's the next game? And it might not be till March is what I'm hearing. I mean, there's a chance I got 7 months off, bud. We're going to have to do a bunch of these Zoom calls. We're going to have to stay fresh somehow.
Hey, John, I got to ask you this. I watched the Brooklyn Nets, who had no reason to play hard against Portland. And then before obviously we watched Milwaukee play. Why did they, and this is me saying it, folks, not John Bloom, I don't want to get him in trouble. Why did they lay down like some dogs with fleas? They put forth no effort to play Memphis. And I understand they didn't have to, they don't want injuries. But just in the realm of competition, it just looked like they didn't just compete at all.
I know, and I thought it was going to be a bigger spread, to be honest with you, than it ended up being. I think it was only like a 13-point game when it was all said and done, but you're also talking about a Memphis team that's pretty beat up. I expected that going in, because Milwaukee had already rested guys. So I thought, all right, well, they've already shown that that's how they're approaching these seeding games. And you know what? They earned that. As the number one seed in the East, they earned the right to be able to deal with that 8 games in whatever way they wanted to deal with it. The other underlying story, though, PLR, is that Taylor Jenkins, the head coach of the Memphis Grizzlies, was once an assistant coach for Mike Budenholzer, the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. So, yeah, he's not going to try to take his guy out. I never thought there was any chance that Coach Bud was going to send his guys out all out and say, let's take these Grizzlies out today. I think it was, let's go get the job done. Let's play hard. Let's finish this out, get ready for the playoffs. Whereas the Taylor Jenkins sideline, a guy who I have a lot of respect for, by the way, I think a lot of people around the league don't really know Taylor Jenkins, even though he coached this Memphis team into an 8th spot, at least the most of the season they were in that 8th spot. And then just hard luck fell on them, and they didn't bring it the way that I'm sure they wanted to while they were in Orlando. But I don't put that on him. I think he's a bright young coach, and he had them playing hard enough to get the last bit done that they needed to get done. I think we all knew, though, once they went to the play-in game, we knew who was going to win that, and it was closer than I thought it was going to be there too. I mean, John Moran and company, like they need a few more veterans to put around their young pieces, but that's another one of those teams that, if you look at the way the Suns' progression could go, the Grizzlies might be kind of right there on that same road where we might be seeing these two go head to head for the next decade or so if the right things happen, right?
Yep.
Thank you, John, again for coming on. I am more than grateful and honored to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Ed and PLR got it rolling. So with Suns, for me, like they came in as the underdog coming into the bubble.